Now pulls one over the bag. Goldschmidt with a sprawling stop. The race to the bag. And Dom is safe. And 2-run score. And the Mets take the lead. Unbelievable. Goldschmidt with a great play, but Gallegos slow getting off the mound. And Dom Smith beat him to the bag. Jankowski and McNeil both race home. And the Mets lead it 3-2 in the ninth.
All right, folks, welcome to Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. Yes, the only good team in New York right now is the New York Mets because the Yankees are trying to figure out what they're doing. You know, they're playing the Orioles tonight, so they're probably figuring out how to beat them. So,
okay,
yeah, everybody beats up on the Orioles. So, anyway, I'm Chris Heidel, and that's Steve Zulis right there, and that's Joe Bashira in the Indiana office. You know, it's not snowing out there, is it?
It's gonna snow tonight.
Oh God, again!
Yeah, you guys can't catch a break, can you?
How many more snowstorms do you need, man? Jeez.
Well, Chris, when I moved up here 7 years ago, when I moved up to the South Bend area 7 years ago, it was 65 degrees in Southwest Indiana. I pull into the South Bend area, and it's a freaking snowstorm.
Jesus.
Whiteout conditions. I walk into my hotel because I didn't have an apartment yet. I was moving in the next day. I come up, I pull in with shorts and a T-shirt on, and it's snowing like hell outside. So yeah. It's not a surprise that it's going to snow tonight.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was down here, and we came down here to Maryland, and I was spending the night at my grandparents' house. It was raining. So I'm like, okay. So I went to bed. The next morning, I look out, and my dad's helping my grandfather push his car out of the driveway because they got 6 or 8 inches here overnight. And I just remember that. And then my dad said he was driving, we had to drive back home in a snowstorm. I was like, that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. So anyway, so hopefully we have this. We're not having any snow over here. It's just a little rainy and cold. Coming up here at 7:40, we have Joe Giulio, who is he writes for the Philadelphia Inquirer. He's retired, but Jay Wright, who basically decided to retire last week from Villanova. We'll talk about his wonderful career with Joe. And then at 7:47, Coach LawrenceHineline, the Morgan State softball coach, will join us. He was on last year. Morgan State softball coach softball last year was very good, and they made it to the NCAA tournament. They had to play Oklahoma. And when you have to play Oklahoma, they haven't lost. The softball team hasn't lost any games in 42 matches. Yeah, that's like taking on the Oakland Athletics of the 70s. You know, with all the power they have.
Did Oklahoma lose last week?
Did they?
I believe they did.
Well, bring up the research desk. I don't know. I know they were on this road trip because ESPN kept on saying, "Oh, they have won 42 straight games since last year." I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah.
So let me give you some live stats here.
Okay.
That's because that's what I do, right? That's that's my role. I'm the stats guy.
That's the stats guy. He's the stats guy. Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
Hot off the presses.
Yeah. Breaking news. It's breaking.
Oklahoma softball. There we go. I don't want Wikipedia. Here we go. Sooner Sports. Their record is 11-1.
Really? They did lose.
I think they lost to Texas. Let me see if I'm correct.
Okay.
Dun 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 dun. I feel like you're winding up to your show with your music, your play music.
Well, speaking of this week is the NFL draft, so we'll be talking to some.
They lost to Texas.
Oh, they lost to Texas, huh?
April 16th. I remember watching that because it was a stunner.
It was a stunner.
There you go. I got you back.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Look at that research department. Yeah. I have to pay the research department next time. Maybe I have to bring out the big dough. Yes, coming up at 9:00 tonight here on the program, if we could get this thing working, former Raven, Jet, and Buccaneer tight end Daniel Wilcox will be joining us from down there in Atlanta. He's probably well known around here with the Baltimore Ravens. So here's some Ravens highlights. But he did win a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers before he came to Baltimore. So look at this nice. We haven't seen those passes completed.
That would be back in the. That would be back in the
Joe Flacco days.
The Chucky days. That he won with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, Chucky, and then when he was here in Baltimore, he had Joe Flacco, and that's basically So he'll be joining us at 9:05 this evening. So that's going to be cool. Great to see. And then Mets and Phillies are playing this weekend at Citi Field. PatCombs, who basically has a little history with the New York Mets. He kind of drilled Dwight Gooden in 1990. And Dwight Gooden actually charged the mound and had a nice brouhaha.
A kerfuffle.
Yeah, a muffle.
A kerfuffle.
Speaking of fights, did you see last week there was a big fight in minor league baseball between Portland and Wilmington, the Mets AA affiliate?
No.
Yeah, the guy from Portland got so angry, ran to the charged the mound and literally kicked the crap out of the pitcher from the Mets AA affiliate. And they had to bring the stretcher to bring him off the field.
Jeez.
That qualifies as a boxing match.
Yeah, that's called homicide, and you need to call it Joe Kenda. Yeah, it's like, geez, like who came up with that idea? Yeah.
Hey, speaking of antics. Can we talk really quick about what is going on with Major League Baseball? There's crazy things going on with umpires not calling game rights and calling balls and strikes.
Yes,
correct?
I'm familiar with that. I was watching the game the other night, and I'm sitting there thinking, why are they calling strikes when the ball is 3 feet off the plate?
Well, they have this new thing I heard. You could actually rate your umpire through Twitter now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, like you could go on and say, Chris Heidel is his rating is 17% because he stinks. Like I think Angel and Hernandez, basically was the culprit the other night on Sunday Night Baseball, and Kyle Schroberg didn't like it. Started got tossed, but it was like he was doing all the antics, like it's here, not here, not there, it's here.
That's the same thing that got Trey Mancini.
Well, Trey Mancini one, that was stupid.
Ejected from the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one was. I got to get the video later in the show, but the one in Oakland with Mancini, who never gets thrown out of the game. He's like Mr. Quietness, and he gets thrown out of the game because the umpire called him out because he thought he was going to second base. Because when you round this, George, if you round the base and if you're going to second base, you have to hit the corner of the bag to turn to go to the second base. Well, he went down the line. And I guess he drifted a little bit to the left.
Oh.
And the umpire thought he was heading down to second base and tagged him out.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought as long as you touch a base, doesn't matter. As long as you get to the base before the ball does, you should be safe regardless.
Right, but my father told me, like and people who've been telling me my life playing baseball, you have to, if you want to make a turn. We'll talk to Larry about this because he probably does the same thing in softball. If you want to get to second base, you have to go out towards the foul line and hit the corner. So you don't, so if you go straight, you can go this way. Some people hit the corner of the bag to go to second base. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's crazy.
But I have one more thing that I need to bring up, Chris. Labeling all Yankee fans as garbage.
Just like my comment. Thank God it's not a D battery.
All Yankees fans are not garbage. The antics that happened out there in right field, the other side of the viewing obstruction at the new Yankee Stadium, just not acceptable.
Right.
There's no place in the sport for it. Chris, I've come to the conclusion the world has lost its mind.
I feel like they lost their mind too.
It's gone. The fans are ridiculous. The officiating's ridiculous. And some of these players crying about I don't want to say crying about balls and strikes, but just sometimes you got to take the game the way that it goes.
Right, exactly. So let me get Joe on here. Let me put Let me mute myself so you don't hear all those phone calls. Hold on. In the meantime, let's just play. I think I got something here. An old. Let's play Jay Wright's interview. Let's play a little bit of Jay Wright right here before I get Joe on. Here it is.
Good morning, everybody. This is kind of a strange day. Probably last time I get to say it, kind of a sports press conference. Hoops is in the house. Love to be able to say that like it was after a game. What Patty and I want this to be is the next step in the Villanova basketball history, and the next step in the Villanova basketball program. The greatest thing for us has always been just to be the coach at Villanova. That's, accolades or, winning games. It's not as big as just being the coach at Villanova. So we've been a part of a great tradition, and we've been blessed to be the head of that tradition for 21 years. And we've always said, we don't own this. It's just, we just got to be in charge for 21 years.
Okay, folks, welcome back. And we have Juliano, working for the Philadelphia. He used to work for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Now he's retired. So, Joe, how are you doing this evening? And how stunned were you when you heard about Jay Wright just saying, see you later?
Very stunned. Didn't see that one coming at all. He just turned 60 last December, and felt he had quite a few good years left in him. You have successful coaches in college basketball who are like Jim Boeheim is 77 and Jim Larrañaga of Miami is 72, and you're thinking Jay could at least go on that long, but he said he was just out of gas. He's always been a very intense coach during practices and games, and he said this past season he just couldn't reach the level of intensity and focus that he needed to continue as head coach. But then again, he still led his team to the Final Four. But he realized that he was out of gas.
It's strange because you said during the season he had to do some pep talks for himself to get himself fired up, because I guess he's just getting, like you said, he was getting tired. And I guess if you've been there for 21 years and you've been there and you won 2 national titles, and you're this transfer portal and all that stuff, it kind of changes the way you're a coach now. Because back then, 21 years ago, we didn't have a transfer portal. You had people stay at college or they go off to the NBA. And now it's like you're there for like maybe one semester and you go, oh, I'm going to go to a different school, but I'm not playing.
Well, he doesn't really like to talk about transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, NIL. He feels like that would be like making excuses or what have you. But he has said at the end of the last few seasons that, the next task after a season ends is re-recruiting your own players, like trying to keep them in school, trying to keep them from checking out the transfer portal. And Jay Wright's been very successful as far as holding on to players. I think it was 3 years ago where he lost the center, Dylan Painter, who went to Delaware and was pretty successful. And then at the end of last season, the 2020-21 season, he lost a forward named Cole Swider, who had been in the program for 3 years, and Swider figured he wanted to get more playing time. He transferred to Syracuse and had a pretty good year, averaging like 17 points and I think it was 8.5 rebounds, playing 35 minutes a night. So he got what he wanted, but Jay has been usually very successful in holding on to the players he has. So the transfer portal has not been a major issue. I mean, he really hasn't even partaken of the transfer portal. He's only had one transfer who's played minutes, Joe Cremo from the 2017 team. But, he just doesn't really go for it. He just wants to keep his own people, develop them, and, make sure they graduate, which is the most important thing for him.
Yeah. Hey, George, go ahead.
So, Joe, there was some news earlier today about Jay, about some discussion about leaving the door open for coaching in the NBA. What are your thoughts on this kind of like, we're talking about him retiring and then leaving a door open to go to the NBA?
Well, I don't think that door is very wide right now. Might be open like a sliver. You don't. But he's not. He's always. He has always rejected overtures from the NBA. It's just the way he's been. He told us one time that really the only job he would ever even consider would be the 76ers. But when he said that, it was the early 2010s, and the Sixers were tanking. They were trying to pile up draft picks. It was just a really sad scene with their team, and he decided to not pursue that. In 2016, after he won the national championship, he got a call from the Knicks begging him to take the coaching job. He said no. In 2018, he won another national championship, got another call from the Knicks, I guess offering him even more money, and he decided to stay at Villanova. So I don't really think he's really that interested in pro ball. I could be wrong. You think he has a year or two to sit around and think about it, but right now that door is 99% shut.
I just feel like Joe. I feel like he's just with his Final Four this year and last year, because I talked to him last year during the whole pandemic on the call, and I asked him, "What did you learn from this year with your players and all about COVID?" And he looked straight. I don't have the interview what I did on the Zoom, but I remember saying Wrigley. What he said to me was, it was hard, and it was a difficult year for him, not being around his players like he used to be every day because of the COVID. And he had to really invent himself. And I guess that took a lot out of him. It happened, you saw probably with Coach K. Coach K probably ran out of gas too because COVID ruined the way of, that 1 year ruins the way, people are coaching now. And I think a lot of these older coaches are like, I'm used to being in front of my players. I'm used to be hanging out with them during the summer. And then you're telling me I can't do it until, October 1st? Come on. I think that ruins their way of doing it.
COVID was a big thing in 2020, 21. I mean, they had a number of pauses, including a 28-day pause. Jay came down with it one time and had to sit out in quarantine. 2021, 22 was a lot better. You got to play in front of people, and there still were threats of COVID. Caleb Daniels, one of his guards, actually had COVID in the spring of last season, and then came down with myocarditis, which is an inflammation of the heart. And Daniels had to sit out like a month or two with make sure that he was going to get fully recovered and not risk it that it would get worse. So this past season was just more or less a way of saying, hey, I'm always intense and I'm always 100% in. And this year, the flame wasn't really burning very bright.
That's true. Well, Joe, thanks so much for coming on. We had a short time to get you on before we have our full guest, but we'd love to have you on more down the road. If you hear anything else, or plus we want to get you back on to talk about that new coach who went from Fordham, University, coaching for 1 year, and now he's back over here now. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And there's other stuff during the, we'll get you on down the road, okay?
Very good, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Joe. All right, that's Joe Juliano, who for the Philadelphia Inquirer, who covered Jay Wright a lot. So I think COVID kind of ruins a lot of these good coaches, and I think it's just that's the way it is,
But think about this, Chris, really quick. Your peers are walking away from the game. Your peers are no longer there.
Right.
Coach K retiring, maybe it's a signal to him, hey, I don't have to go till I'm 71, 72. I could get out and then I could do what I want afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's bring in the head coach. Let's shift gears here. Morgan State softball is doing really well this year. Let's bring in Coach Larry. Hey, Coach Larry, how you doing?
Hey, Chris. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I mean, I haven't talked to you since last year when you guys made it all the way to Oklahoma and on that powerful Sooner team. And I was hoping it wasn't that bad, but it was a little bad. But
it was kind of bad. It was kind of bad. I was hoping it wouldn't be that bad either, but
they're a high power offense.
We did have one scoreless inning in that 4 that they batted, so I took away a little bit of something from that. But now they can out just as flat out hit and play. So
Exactly. You guys are doing really well this year, so I guess you guys learned a lot from your trip to the the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, but I lost 11 players from that team, so I replaced them with 8 new players. So we kind of got I guess more than half our starting lineups new. So it's so they didn't learn anything from last year because they weren't around last year. But the players we have returning are confident, and we picked up some really good transfers. So and that's pretty good too.
Yeah. Hey George, go ahead.
I was going to say we were just talking to Joe Juliano from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and he was talking about coaches and talking about the transfer portal. Sometimes it works out for a coach, and sometimes it doesn't. Talk to us about the students that were picked up from the transfer portal.
Well, I got my starting catcher, who's doing tremendously. She emailed me and said she was in the portal, so I kind of checked the portal for her, and then my current third baseman, I went hunting in the portal by conference, right? So I was hoping geographically, and I found her name in there, and I called her, and so she came via that route. And then I got a junior college transfer, and then I got it's actually 2 junior college transfers. But the transfer portals is a mixed bag. It's especially for a small mid-major school like us. The Power Fives kind of run the transfer portal in my mind. I call them up. They've already got 10 overtures from somebody else, so I get late in the game, especially pitchers. Forget trying to get a pitcher in the portal. But I did get another transfer. My pitcher now, who this is the 5th week this year that she's been MEAC pitcher of the week. And I don't know why I left her out till the end, but she put her name in the transfer portal, but also emailed me. So I think for me, the transfer portal allows me to contact them. I really don't have much luck going to the portal myself, but a lot of these players are already spoken for. They in my opinion, I don't know any specifics, but they have backdoor deals where they know they can go. Let's say I'll make up 2 schools, South Dakota State and going to North Dakota State. They already know that they're going to go there, and they somehow, in my opinion, already know that they know the coach from a previous recruiting or something, and they know they can get in. So it's an unusual place, and it adds a lot of complexity, and it also makes it difficult for coaches when you lose players to that portal, because I lost a couple to the portal last year. Things aren't exactly the way they want them to be, and so they go, I'm going to go to the portal. And so
Yep.
Yeah, I think that portal thing is good for some coaches, and some it's bad for some people. Yeah, like you said, you're looking for. You can't find starting pitching. You forget that idea, but you can find.
I'm not getting a starting. Well, I did, but she emailed me. She wanted to come to Morgan, so she had to put her name in the portal. So she put her name in the portal, emailed me, and it's just like it was connection. So that was great. But generally, that doesn't happen that way, know.
And you're still looking. It's not like you got Matt Scherzer in the transfer portal, and you go, hey, somebody like that, like, hey, I got a fireball, or I could bring, somebody needs it, but yeah, you wish,
right, exactly,
yeah. So talk about this weekend. You got a double header coming up.
Well, we got 3 games set. We got double header Saturday, you're right, and a game on Sunday. We play North Carolina Central, who's kind of in the middle of the pack in our conference. We're sitting right now in first place in the MEAC. Our record's tied with Norfolk State, but we beat them 2 out of 3, so we got the tiebreaker. We're playing pretty well. We're on an 11-game winning streak. Our pitching is phenomenal. I don't know if you knew this, Chris, but our earned run average is the 8th best in Division I.
Oh, wow.
Now, it might go down a little bit come Thursday when he released the new numbers, but I mean that kind of amazed me. 8th best in there's 300 plus D1 teams, regardless of whatever conference we're in, we're pitching well. And my relief pitcher, Melissa Paz, is 4th best in the country at ERA for pitchers.
Nice.
She's like a 0.5 something ERA. She's like a Greg Maddux kind of pitcher, strikes out a few here and there, but keeps the ball down, keeps it moving, and nobody squares it up. So it's it's been kind of fun. So you asked me to describe a little bit. It's been a fun season because we're in every game.
Well, that's good. That's also good. If you're in every game, it's not like you're playing catch up. Like you're in the third inning, you're down 10-0, and you're going, oh God, I got to catch up. And if you're in the ball game, that's still a good sign. You guys are competitive,
Exactly.
and you're going to be you'll find a way to win.
Yeah, no, you hang around, and then you can manufacture runs. We like to run the bases a lot, and you get some freebies. You get a walk here, an error there, and if you can bunt and steal. You can and move the ball at times. You can steal a run or two, and so that's kind of our hitting hasn't been as good as our pitching, so we have to rely on manufacturing stuff.
Yeah. Hey George, you got another question for Larry?
Coach actually led me right into my question. It's a perfect segue. Being on this 11-game winning streak that you're talking about, how do you build some adversity into what's happening to kind of put yourself in a situation to work a little bit harder, we'll say in your batting role, right? Because you said that's where you're having a little bit of a struggle. What do you do there to build some of that adversity in for later in the season?
Well, it is later in the season, George. Not to be funny.
It is actually.
I know what you mean.
I can't believe it's going to be May. You're right.
Right. Well, we've had a lot of adversity. All our games are close. I mean, we've had some. In the 11-game winning streak, we played Ryder the other day, beat them a doubleheader, and they were ranked higher than us in the RPI, and much higher actually. And we were behind 1-0. Their pitcher was mowing us down, and I think it was like the fourth or fifth inning. And Mel Paz, the pitcher I was telling you about, hit a home run, and then the hits start coming in after that. So we've had some adversity, and so even during an 11-game winning streak, we're not blowing people out. All those games are tough. We've either been behind or like nothing late in the game, and so the adversity and the tense situations have been there even during the 11-game winning streak. So we lost a couple games. We lost to St. John's 2-1 in 9 innings. Couldn't push a run across. We had runners on third. We couldn't get them in, and so we've been fighting that all year with the sticks. But we still have a very good record. We're still very competitive. Out of conference as well as in conference, which I like to point to as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey George, talk about not George, Larry. Talk about Morgan State. People don't when they hear Morgan State, they think football, they think basketball, they don't think of softball. It's like one of those things. They used to have a lacrosse team back in, I think, in the 70s.
Yeah, they upset the number 1 team in the nation, which was Virginia back in the early 70s. So I know it's ancient history, but it's I think there's might be a 30 for 30 on it or something like that. It was pretty cool at the time. But anyway, Morgan State has a really big football tradition. There are 4 graduates of Morgan State who are in the NFL Hall of Fame, not the college football Hall of Fame, the NFL. I knew Willie Lanier and Leroy Kelly and I think Roosevelt Brown or Len Brown. I can't remember, off the top of my head, all 4 of them, but so that's pretty cool. I mean, they were a powerhouse back in the day. I think they used to play Grambling and Yankee Stadium. It was a big deal. But as far as softball goes, I think we're getting a little bit more, notoriety, I guess. My assistant coach and I were talking today about, since 2018 we won our division. 2019 we were tied for, we were second place out of half a game. 20 was the COVID. Last year we won the division. So we've been pretty competitive. I think people in this area in the softball world know us, but I'd like to get more people across the country knowing us, and it makes it recruiting a little easier.
Coach, how do you feel about the parity in the game? Do you see the game coming a little bit closer to coming together, or is there still kind of a gap, a wide gap?
Well, there is the gap. And the gap is in the circle. I mean, like at Oklahoma, for example. I mean, they hit the ball, but they keep reloading with pitching. And in fact, they got a freshman pitcher that's really, really good. So, the top 10 teams have the pitching cornered, and then the rest of us are, have good players and pitcher stuff. But there's still that gap. I firmly believe, you take the top 10 and they're in a different league. They should be in a different league. Not that we don't want them in our league. I'm just saying, as far as talent, is projected.
Chris?
Yeah, basically, talk real quick, Larry. Talk about the MEAC, because people, the MEAC is a great league. Like you said, with different sports. But the softball, you got, you guys, Coppin State, Delaware State. You got everybody who plays.
Howard, Norfolk State. Yeah, Norfolk State just won the basketball, tournament in our league. So, I mean, they're a good school. I mean, so the MEAC's been a good. We lost a few teams recently. We lost Texas A&M and Bethune-Cookman. They went to the SWAC. So and North Carolina A&T went to, I think, to the Big South, and I think they're heading back to the CAA. So there's been a lot of movement out of the MEAC. So it's still a good conference. I mean, we have Howard's got a good program, Norfolk State's got a good program, Eastern Shore's doing well this year. So we're competitive. We play a good schedule. When I say we, Morgan State and our other other members of the conference, but. We do okay, and given the limited resources we have, we're all HBCUs, as you know, and we don't have a lot of money floating around to do some of the things that other schools do.
Exactly. Well, Coach Larry, thank you so much for coming on. We will talk to you a little more before the after that MEAC tournament, and plus maybe we'll see you in the NCAA tournament again.
All right, guys, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
All right, George.
All right, Chris. I see you. Bye. All right, that's the head coach of Morgan State softball, LawrenceHineline. So
I can't believe that I flubbed. Okay, not that I flubbed, but I forgot it's May.
I know.
Hey, we just sometimes lose track of what day of the week it is and what time of year it is.
It's April 26th. Their season's closing up.
So. Anyway, let's get. I have to take care of something, but let me bring in Pam Kennedy. She's a young. You okay?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I heard you going like. I'm like, what do you brush me off like the catcher does? Like you don't like to. You don't
wave it off.
Yeah, wave it off. Yeah. Let me bring in Pam, and I'll introduce Pam, and we'll talk a little bit about it, and you guys could talk a little more. They have a pretty cool event coming up at Hartford Community College this coming Friday. It's a non-credit course, but get this, George, you get a chance to go to Philadelphia to the Wells Fargo Arena and watch how they put the day-to-day operations together of the ice rink from the Flyers perspective.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's $80. You pay $80 to do it. And you get a ticket, and they actually don't kick you out. They let you stay there for the game. I think that's a great thing too. So let's bring in Pam here, Pam Kennedy. Hi, Pam.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Not bad. Thanks for coming on tonight. I was just telling George about it, and it's pretty cool that you guys are doing this for the students or non-credit students. So how did you get a hold of the Flyers, and why Philadelphia? Maybe what's wrong with?
Why not the Orioles, right? Or come down to the stadium. Yeah. Well, in community education, we're like a division of Hartford Community College. We've got the credit students, and then we also have our non-credit area. So I'm over all of community education. So one of the things that we do is travel programs. So we had some tickets up to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We go to all different places. And so our contact at the center likes to advertise and do all of the other events that are happening there. And hey, how about coming to a Flyers game? So sure, we said, let's see what's on the menu. We're trying to service not just students, credit students or non-credit students here. A lot of times our travel trips are out with senior citizens or family members going out to learn a little about history and other things out in the community, near and far. But, there's some great opportunities to go and see these local sporting events and diversify our population a little bit and stretch the demographic of what we would normally do here at the community college for travel. So we've got staff, we've got students, we've got people of all ages coming out. We've got 24 right now signed up. We did as a small little group just to see if the interest would peak. And so, yeah, it's really cool. We're going to get there around 4:30. The center, Wells Fargo, is going to put together a panel of people who work behind the scenes. As you see in the video, it's pretty cool that, every event is different. So they'll transition to ice, to basketball, to whatever the activity or sport's going to be there. So we're going to get a little bit of back backstage look at that. And we do have students in our athletic department. We have 13 sports teams here at Harford Community College. And just have to put a pitch in that our men's lacrosse is #1 in JUCO right now. So just wanted to say. So we do like to get out there and see what else is going on in the community. So that, we're here in Maryland, but Philadelphia's just down the road. And, we want to go out and see what's there. And some of those students can learn about how this could be something they could, do as a career, or really, if they're getting into the sports avenue, see what's out there and what is there for them. And you get to enjoy the game afterwards. So got some good seats.
Hey, George, go ahead.
Well, that's a win-win situation, even for a non-student, right? Getting to see, the day-to-day, what goes on from the time you change, from hockey to basketball to whatever, because it's not an easy task. It's really kind of something that you want to take a look at from a perspective of, being an SID. How does that, what happens in between, a different sporting event, because it's all part of the experience of being able to fulfill that kind of a role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We have our APG center right here that we have on campus. So we do similar things right here within our own setting. So it's nice to be able to see what we do on a daily basis. But yeah, there's a lot of jobs. There's a lot of, opportunity to be able to see how that works and talk to people that are doing it firsthand. So, it's education, it's sports, it's fun, it's a night out Friday night. My husband and I are going to go. We're going to enjoy the game, but see what we can find out about Wells Fargo Center from the inside out.
And I believe Chris is going to share the link and the information to the page, and we'll definitely make sure that folks see how they can partake in that activity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. We are full right now. We got all our tickets sold, but definitely. So yeah, definitely you can go to that link and look for some things that are coming up. So we've got let's see, what do we have coming up? We're going to Gettysburg. We're going to do a tour coming up in May in Gettysburg. We're going to go to the flower show. We're going to take people up to Central Park and be able to drop them off in New York. You go do what you want to do, see a show, do the Central Park thing. We're going to go down to the Naval Yard in Annapolis this summer, and also just work on some other things. The holidays, we go up to New York and see the Christmas show, do all kinds of things just to get the community involved and get their feedback on what they'd like to do and how they'd like to travel. And it also links them into, maybe getting on campus and give a reference to a friend or a family member that might not know just how awesome a 2-year college is, because that leads on to, just a great start for potential 4-year or certifications and workforce. There's tons of activities and classes that you can do for credit or non-credit right here, apprenticeship programs, on and on.
Yeah, I went to Harvard Community College. I was there too long. I was waiting. I was like, that movie Van Wilder. I was waiting for somebody to name a building after me, but it didn't work.
Chris, how long were you there? How long were you there, Chris? Come on.
Well, I had to go to the learning disability part, like because of the classes, the CC classes, because of my learning disability. And then I just loved the broadcasting wing, so I stayed up there for 3 or 4 years away from my parents were just in Bel Air. But it was like, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, man, I used to go up there all the time just to get out of the house. Just to go up to the radio station, and just see Gary Helton, who sadly retired and all that stuff. And, I just worked on my programs and all that stuff. And, and people don't realize the radio station is pretty cool. And I'm really, really happy that Harvard Community College and the athletic department still working together with the radio station. Because we got that stuff online now, so that's pretty cool. So I feel pretty blessed that I did something back in 1999. They got those two talking, because nobody talked to anybody from the athletic department.
Yeah, the college is doing a great job working together. We try to work across all the different avenues, whether it's humanities, all over to the science, technologies, and athletics. And we have a great, program building over there. And every year, more sports are doing better and better each time. And so we love to have the community in. We see people walking on our campus all the time. You're welcome to come in and take advantage of our walking trails and any of the activities that are here. So, it's just a stone's throw away from Bel Air, and it's great. You can just come on out and be a part of something in the community anytime.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So on Friday it starts at 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically, about Philadelphia traffic. You may have to leave a little early to get there.
Yeah.
It's like New
Yeah.
York. You got to leave a little bit earlier, or Baltimore.
Yes.
And then you guys are there basically for the entire day until the game starts.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't realize you have to get your own food. It's not catered.
Yeah. Yep. They have lots of great places on the concourse. You can, hang out, have some beer, whatever, get something to drink, and then you can be ready for the puck drop at 7. Be able to, see what's happening for warm-ups, which is great. Hockey is a great sport that you can just really get into it and watch what's going on, in the boxes if you're close to that, and then be able to just really participate in the field. And the Flyers does a nice job really making a great, fun family environment too.
Yeah. What's this $80 ticket? They give them like a general seating area, or do you guys sit in a special section like?
No, yeah, we're just in regular sections.
Okay.
Lower level. So it was good. We were able to get a good ticket price before it goes up in the later part of the season. We get closer to playoffs. So this is one of the last ones that you can get good deals for groups to be able to go in and get good tickets. And we like to try and find the best group value that we can.
Yeah, this seems like a cool thing you guys are doing. I saw this the other day. I was just sitting, getting my, oil change in my, one of the cars I have here, and I was on my computer, and I was like, oh, this might be a cool idea. Because a lot of people don't get an opportunity to see what the behind the scenes. Like Steve and I vaguely get a chance to see, because we're in the media, what it looks like before people show up. It's like it's quiet.
It's just like we did that one time we were doing the arena football. Remember when we had to go up and help them unload the pads out of the truck?
And we had to do all that stuff.
Yeah, when concerts come or other things, it's just amazing. All of the scaffolding and the lighting and the everything that goes into it. It's a production, whether it's a sporting event or just a show that you're going to see. So there's a lot that happens behind the scenes, and be able to ask those questions and find out. It's gonna be cool.
I think it's pretty cool. So, folks, if you want to go online. It's already sold. They said it's all sold out, but you never know. They might do something down the road.
They got 2 events coming, Chris.
Yeah.
The battlefield. By the way, this is breaking news for you, Chris.
Go ahead, breaking news.
I'm going out to the battlefield at Gettysburg in June.
Okay.
So they got something coming up May 23rd. Too bad it wasn't a closer connection, or I would have signed my family up for that.
Yeah.
May 23rd, they're going to the battlefield, which is awesome. Yeah. And then June 14th, they're in the Philadelphia Flower Show.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
And for most of those, what we do is we get a bus and right here on campus. So you meet here and you don't have to drive. We'll just take you right there. And most of the ticket costs include that. So yeah, this is one that's ad hoc. Since it's a little bit further away, people might want to kind of go and stay. So we said, transportation is on your own. But for the most part, we provide transportation. Get a nice chartered bus, bathroom, the whole deal. You just hop on. Don't got to worry about paying tolls, gas, anything like that. It's all included in your ticket costs for you.
That's awesome.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff. Well, Pam, keep up the good work up there at Hartford Community College, and enjoy the game on. I know some people were not Flyers fans, and I'm not a Flyers fan. I have a friend who's a Flyers fan, Jared Welsh. He probably would have been jumping on this right away, but.
I don't think you're a fan of any Philadelphia.
No, I don't like Philadelphia. Even George. Even look at George. Thanks, Steve.
There's plenty of sports to go around. Be fans for them all. Come on now.
Oh, enjoy and be nice to people in Philadelphia. They're nice people. Yeah.
I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I know where it's at. But I'll go to the Flyers, not the Eagles. But I do like them though.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right,
Thank you.
Bye now. Bye, George.
That's Pam Kennedy, who works for Hartford Community College. What a cool little event, Friday night. Get a chance to see the interaction in the arena. Yeah. And I don't think George gets a chance to see interaction in the arena. Have you?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
very eerie. It's like nobody there. It's just you and I doing our stuff, and it's like nobody around.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it's like you're sitting there going, gotta be somebody making some noise, somewhere. And then they bring in the people to come in. And then all of a sudden it starts piling up, and we're like, wow, this place gets noisy real quick.
Before COVID, I was at I was in before basketball,
Mm-hmm.
I was in before football, and I was in for hockey. So I knew I could tell the music of when the fans are coming in the door because they play the same music every single time when they open the doors.
Nice.
I don't even have to be looking at a clock. I just got to listen to the music.
Yes. Well, we're going to bring this show a little international flavor right here because a lot of folks need to realize the NFL is global now. It's not just mom and father's NFL. You got people all over the world that covers these their teams.
Yeah, especially now that starting this year, they're going to have a game in China. They're going to have a game in Germany. Yeah. There's even talk of maybe a game in France.
Wow. Well, let's bring out. This is the audio of Cam Newton scoring a touchdown in Spanish. Yes. Okay, this is going to be interesting. So here it is.
Ahí está Cam, se va a meter, se va a meter, se va a meter. ¡Volaste como Superman, mi querido dinosaurio! ¡Vuela que vuela! ¡Vuela que vuela! ¡Touchdown! 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 ¡Báilale! 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 ¡Mi querido dinosaurio! ¡Las Panteras le ponen 6 puntos más al marcador!
I wish Jim Nance gets excited for that,
You took it right out of my mouth. The one thing I love about international game callers is they put so much personality into it. They put so much energy into it.
Yeah, it's like fun to watch. And like even the World Cup soccer, when they get to the goal and you just want to look at your stopwatch and go.
Speaking of World Cup, I don't know if any of you guys are known to this. I found out about this over the weekend.
Uh-huh.
There's possibility of FIFA coming to Baltimore in 2026.
Well, we had somebody on last year, George. Remember, were you here last year when I had one of the U.S. soccer players on talking about the World Cup bid? Or this is before he showed up? Yeah, I had the goalie for Ubi. The guy from
Blast.
No, from the United States Soccer. I forget his name. Right now.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so maybe I could get him back on and talk about it.
Heck yeah.
Man, it's not a set thing yet, but there's whispers that 2026 FIFA could be coming to Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium.
That's a great way to get yourself to make sure you're in the door.
Exactly. So let's bring in this gentleman, Antonio Ramos, who does help out with the Spanish version of Carolina football, Panther football down there in the beautiful Queen City of Charlotte. So, hi, Antonio. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's just we decided tonight to do on the show a different international flavor because a lot of people don't realize, yes, the NFL is now global, but we don't hear the other side of with the NFL draft, what the Spanish Americans think about their team and what they need. You hear all the English side of the person. Does Carolina draft a quarterback? Is that the same thing you hear in the Spanish speaking? Because I know Charlotte has a lot of Spanish speaking people down there.
Yeah, we have a lot of Latin and Hispanic community here in Charlotte, and now, of course, with the new MLS team that you guys were talking about, soccer and FIFA, the sports community in Charlotte in Spanish and with all the Hispanics being growing, and they're just. We had a full stadium, Bank of America. We break the record in attendance, 74,000 people at Bank of America Stadium for first ever Charlotte FC game. And that energy is, flowing to NBA with the Hornets and, of course, the NFL with the Panthers. And that's the type of atmosphere that we want to create. That's the type of, spice that Latinos and Hispanic, we all bring to this industry, the sports industry here in America. So, and, having by my side Jaime Moreno, which is the guy that you listen doing the calls with the Panthers. I'm the color analyst with him. We do both Panthers and now the Charlotte FC in Spanish. So we're trying to build a very nice bridge with the Hispanic community. And, it feels great when Americans that they don't speak Spanish, they say, "Hey, I love listening to these guys. I don't know anything what they're saying, but it's fun. It's a different energy."
Yeah, it's like George Carlin had this comedy bit one time. Like he used to listen to Spanish radio for Yankee games, and the only thing he heard was Coca-Cola. Yeah, yeah. It's like you hear Mickey Mantle, he's like
Right.
Coca-Cola, and that's all he heard. Yeah, and he was like, but he was listening to that stuff. But but with Spanish radio, it's you guys. You guys do the game. When home games at Bank of America Stadium. But do you guys go on the road, or do you guys stay in a studio with stuff piped in the studio, so you guys act like you might be at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore?
Yeah. So we do away games from Bank of America Stadium, and of course home games at the same radio booth that we have in the stadium. And for soccer, we do it at Telemundo Studios. Unfortunately, we don't do it at the home games at Bank of America Stadium, but it's something that we're trying to get into the. This is the first year of Charlotte FC, so there's some budget things that we need to get fixed. But for Panthers, we do everything from the stadium, but we just try to take the audience and the people that's listening to us, like if they're in the stadium, like make them feel that we're all in Baltimore or in Washington or whatever the Panthers are playing. And actually we had a funny story that we were doing a Saturday night game. It was in Green Bay, but we were doing the broadcast in Charlotte in the Panthers Stadium, and the ACC championship between Clemson and Notre Dame was being played at Bank of America Stadium. So we had a weird broadcast, and we were of course listening to the audio feed and watching the game live, and in some monitors and screens just the video feed from Green Bay. So those are the nice challenges that we have, doing some away games remotely, but it's been super fun. And I think Jaime brings this energy and his unique style to call the games, and I'm just like trying to hold everything and analyze things. And I think we're having a great time. This is my third season with him as a color commentator, but it's been great working alongside Jaime.
Sorry about that. I was trying to play with the internet. Yeah. So repeat that. We just lost the internet for a minute, but you were, it was Green Bay. Saturday night you were in Charlotte doing the game.
Yes, and at the same time, the ACC championship was being played at Bank of America Stadium, and we had to broadcast the game in Wisconsin. That we were just getting the video feed from our producers, and at the same time, watching the ACC championship live and broadcasting an NFL game with miles away. So that's some of the challenges that we've had so far, but it's been very fun.
All of a sudden you hear Kirk Herbstreit going, "Hey, that was a great touchdown." You're like,
no,
everybody's like, "What?"
No, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, yeah. But Bank of America Stadium is a big stadium. They have enough press boxes to to handle different media stuff. But so let's talk about Panthers football. What are they going to do with the 6th pick on Thursday night? Are they going to go with a quarterback? Because I heard they need another quarterback. Because Cam Newton part 2.0 is not really working. That was just I guess they want to give him a contract to feel sorry for him. And then now they're and then you had the guy from the Jets that came in, who basically he was Sam Darnold. He's a dumpster fire. So what are they going? What are they looking for? Are they going to looking for a veteran quarterback to take over for a little bit? Or are they going to go keep Sam Darnold? Or are they going to go draft a Kenny Pickett or somebody who has more mobile as like Willis, the guy from Liberty?
I think they're exploring their options. Whether it's left tackle, one of the 3 top left tackles in this class, you'll know those guys, and the possibility of trading back, I think, is a big one, because Carolina, they have the number 6 and then the number 137, so they don't pick until the 3rd day of the draft.
Ooh,
so
wow.
That's an issue with them. I think they're taking some calls today. Scott Fitter said that he's willing to take one of the offers. He said 3 or 4 teams have been in communications with them for the number 6 overall. So I think they're absolutely going to get another quarterback to compete with Sam in the draft or in free agency. The project is to establish the quarterback position, and not necessarily is drafting a play caller, but have a good foundation in the offensive line. So they already signed Bradley Bozeman and Austin Corbett, which is a good first step to get to that point. And if you get one of the 3 top left tackles in this class, now you got a pretty good offensive line with, let's say Ikem Ekwonu, Brady Christensen, Bradley Bozeman, Austin Corbett, and Taylor Moton. And now you can work maybe with Sam. They picked the 5th year of his contract, so there's 18 million linked to the Panthers salary cap with Sam Darnold. But I absolutely think they're going to get another quarterback just to compete with Sam, and I think it's going to be a veteran quarterback.
George, go ahead.
Well, first of all, Antonio would never know that I cover the Notre Dame sports, and that was a game that I would rather not talk about.
I'm sorry.
that loss. That's okay. We'll talk to Chris afterwards, and I'll give him the business for it.
Thanks, George.
I don't need more therapy. I really don't need more therapy after having doing so well in the ACC for one season.
Right.
But Antonio, it's so true when you hear the foreign sports callers. The game to me is totally different. I personally, I'll sit here and I'll watch, some of these international soccer games, football/soccer games that are on. I just really enjoy the call playing. And like Chris said, you don't know how that translates into American football.
Right.
But it works. American football, color commentary, folks, it's kind of boring. But to get into the game, that's what it's all about. It's not about just to be, well, there's John's 25th touchdown of the season as he jumps over the pack and does a flip, over the line. You guys really take it to the next level.
And it's entertainment. And I think the sports industry is a mix of, the seriousness of the sport, the money that's in the industry, but the fans, they expect, of course, a high performance from the team, but as well, they want to have a good time, a good night, just enjoy Sunday evening or a Monday night. So it's just about style. And I think Jaime always says that he wants to bring the soccer enthusiasm in the NFL game, but with the proper concepts of NFL and football. So that's my role. That's my part. So we're trying to be pretty balanced in those, a combination of excitement, entertainment, but with perfect, football concepts.
So let's have you do something here impromptu. I'll give you a play scenario, okay? And you walk it through. So we'll say the defense is on the field, and let's say that they've intercepted the ball and they're running back. They're running inside running towards the end zone. Give us a call.
In Spanish.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the scenario again?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Defense is on the field. And they just got an interception.
Okay.
And they're running the ball back and they're going to score.
Ok, bueno, el mariscal de campo está listo para hacer su siguiente llamada. Manda sus números. El pase es interceptado. Se va. JC Horn tiene la pelota y se mete hasta las diagonales. Intercepción de Carolina para ponerlos en una gran posición en el terreno de juego y en el partido.
That is beautiful.
Nice.
That's nice.
Maybe some things didn't make sense, but it's just like what we try to do. Of course, Jaime is the play-by-play. I'm the color analyst, so we can do sometimes inverted roles because probably at some point in the NFL season and the MLS season is going to be mixed for a couple of weeks, so we got to split. And Jaime probably will do NFL, or I'll do MLS, or vice versa. We don't know yet, but yeah, that was a sneak peek of the Los Panthers Spanish radio network that we have.
Right.
Well, Antonio, if I get down there for work, because my company is right across the street nowadays at Honeywell.
Oh yeah, pretty big building that you guys have in front of Bank of America Stadium. Yeah,
they put a little building back there. Absolutely.
yeah.
I'll have to come out there and check you out.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
You
I had
can be our guest of the booth anytime you want.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be down there in July, dude. We might be there for the ACC kickoff. In the Western. We might stop.
Right.
If you're down there, we'll look you up and we'll stop by and have lunch or something.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be great.
Hey, because we'll try some good stuff around that Charlotte area because they got some good barbecue.
Good food, yeah, I can tell you.
You never had Southern barbecue. You don't know what you're missing.
Dude, that stuff down there is good stuff.
It is.
Yeah, and I think Guy Fieri went on to one of those Diner Days Jives, and I want to go see one of those places. I'm like,
hey, if you guys bring crab cakes, I'm in.
Yeah, I'll bring some crab cakes from Maryland. Yeah, there we go. All right, Antonio, thank you so much, and enjoy the draft on Thursday night. And thanks for coming on. And don't be a stranger. We'll get you on during the football season because I don't know if you might be playing Baltimore. You never know, but I've seen like every year you guys play Washington. It seems like you and Washington and Carolina and Ron Rivera, you guys always play each other every year.
Ron Rivera, we're facing the Cardinals and Ron Rivera each and every year. So, but yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and hope it's not the last stop here with you. And just anytime you need me, I'm here.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Yes,
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that's Antonio Ramos, who's the part of the Panthers football on Spanish radio there in Charlotte. So that's a little that was good, George. Good improvised there. I like hearing the international field. So
it's what you pay me the big bucks for, Chris.
Oh yeah.
The only thing is we pay in pesos.
I'm paying in pesos.
Give me some cerveza, por favor.
Yeah. So let me give a call to Ashlyn. The lady from the Jaguars. So hold on one second. Yeah.
The Jaguars.
Oh, speaking of making a phone call, guess who made it to Major League Baseball last night in their Major League debut?
Me?
The guy from Towson we had on the show.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. He made he got called up and he played against the Angels last night, and he got his first Major League hit was a double.
Chris, you got to get him back on the show.
Speaking of that, sidebar, I texted him last night, and before I went to bed, I was like, "Hey, dude, this is Chris, from HerbFM Radio. Congratulations on getting your first hit, and congratulations on making it to the show." He texted me back this morning at like 2:30 in the morning, going, "Thanks, brother. I love it." Yeah. So, So hey, I'll try to get him on. I have to go for Cleveland now.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's okay. Let's bring in. Let me make a phone call real quick here on the hotline.
HerbFM hotline.
Going back in time here.
Yeah, back in time. Yes, sir. All right.
I think I passed Doc and Marty on the way up here.
Ashlyn, right?
Ashlyn.
Okay.
You can never tell this guy.
Hello, this is Ashlyn.
Hi, Ashlyn. It's Chris Heidel from HerbFM Radio in Baltimore. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for bringing some lovely Florida weather up here and coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for coming on. And I guess you're excited with the draft coming up.
Yes.
What is George doing? I have no idea. My partner, he just brought something on the video. We do this on StreamYard. We're live right now. So,
okay.
So talk about what does the Jaguars need to do this year in their second year being the first pick in the NFL draft? I guess the Urban Meyer project was not a great idea.
Yes, it was quite the year, and now we're right back to where we started, which is it's disappointing in a sense. You definitely didn't want to be here again this year, but it's also the optimism that you get a really great player number one overall and really help this team. And it's really it's so fascinating this year's draft because there's so many directions they could go, and in all of those directions, seem like great options that could really help this team right now. So I'm so curious how it turns out. Really excited. Just to get a franchise staple player. That's what you hope, is that this player sticks around for many years to come and is one of those guys that you can depend on for years to come.
Exactly. And, what do they need to do with the Trevor Lawrence, before he came to Jacksonville, never lost a game, except for 2 games in college. Was he held up in his hotel room last year by himself with, trying to understand how to win a football game? Because he's not used to losing.
No, he was quite all right. I will say Trevor's incredibly well-rounded and just a normal guy who's really gifted at football. So if anyone could have handled the adversity and craziness of last year, it was Trevor. He was the perfect guy to be thrown into that situation. Not to say it wasn't really hard for him. He definitely had his adversity and struggles, but he went through so much. And you look at the roster that was around him, he really didn't have that much help. And that's why I'm so curious, taking an offensive lineman #1 overall to help Trevor. He is absolutely 100% priority #1 for this team. And when you put it that way, then yeah, an offensive tackle makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. George, go ahead.
One, you got to protect the blind side.
The blind side.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a little bit of a shakeup. We were like locked in that it was going to be Evan Neal come around the combine, and then the Jaguars franchise tagged Cam Robinson, their current left tackle, making it seem like, all right, they're going to go with what they got. They're okay with where the offensive line stands. Maybe now they'll go defensive end. But to get a franchise caliber offensive lineman and maybe he doesn't start right away, it's crazy to think because he's the #1 overall pick. But hey, if it means your offensive line's set for years to come, that sounds worth it to me.
Yeah. It's sad that this team was 3 years ago in the AFC title game, taking on Tom Brady and almost beat Brady in Foxborough, except for the third quarter and the fourth quarter that Tom Brady came back and won. And they were dominating the Patriots at halftime. I think it was Stuart, I think it was like 31-0, right, or something weird.
It was, yep.
Yeah.
Into the third quarter, looked like locked and loaded, and yeah, that seems like forever ago in a sense, and in times it feels like 2 weeks ago. It's crazy when you look at the roster then to now, how big of a turnaround it's been in just 3 short years.
Yeah. I do need to ask you about Urban Meyer. What happened down there? Does he think is a college coach thinking he could run a pro team? Like we saw this with Nick Saban. Yeah, Nick Saban doesn't like. He tried it with the Dolphins, and he got on a plane and went to Tuscaloosa, and he's been perfect ever since with Alabama. Is this something that Urban Meyer was like, let me try, and I'll think I could do it? I feel like he just basically ruined his image of a great college coach going to the NFL, just like George, just like Lou Holtz, who did the Jets thing in '76. That kind of that didn't hurt him, but kind of made him look kind of bad in people's eyes. Like, oh, you did one year of the NFL with the Jets, really? So let's talk about what went wrong.
So much happened that year. I think there is the example now we're seeing where college coaches attempt to make the transition and it doesn't always work. I don't think Urban Meyer came in with the expectation, let's see if this works, let's see how this turns out. I mean, this time last year, we were really fired up for Urban Meyer leading this team, and he came with the pedigree of college championships, and everything was great until the Jaguars started losing a couple games, and that's when I think you see the true character of someone come out when true adversity hits. And Urban Meyer said it himself, I think it was an interview a couple months ago, that he just couldn't take the losing that came with this role. And this team wasn't going to win right away. It was unrealistic to think that the Jaguars were going to come and light it up because they got Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. This is absolutely a rebuild that can take a long time at times. So I think it was Urban Meyer being honest at the end of this tenure, saying, hey, I just couldn't take the losing of what NFL brings. I mean, even successful NFL teams, they lose way more than a college program, and not everyone's cut out for that.
Yeah, and it seems like to me like he takes Trevor Lawrence, and I'm like, okay, you're going to go with Clemson players who basically destroyed 31-0 in the Fiesta Bowl. Let's use you guys as my quarterback, and I thought that was a good idea because I think him and Dabo were friends anyway, so he knew Trevor Lawrence and knew how Trevor Lawrence knows how to play quarterback, and I guess Trevor Lawrence at the end threw him under the bus, saying like he kind of didn't know what he was doing.
I wouldn't say Trevor threw him under the bus. I think Trevor kind of did the best that he could with the situation, but I mean, the difference between an NFL and a college coach, it is drastic. And there's a lot of been there, done that. That's the appeal of Doug Peterson right now is this is a Super Bowl winning coach who's coached 10 plus years and has seen any type of situation. So it's funny when you always say something doesn't work, you go the complete and utter opposite way. That's exactly what is happening here in Jacksonville is you get a guy in Doug Peterson who has gone through any adversity he could have possibly gone through in the NFL. And that's what I think when things don't go great in Jacksonville, if they very well might this season. Doug Peterson will be able to say, yeah, I've been there, done that, and I know how to fix it.
Exactly. George, go ahead.
So Ashlyn, we've had the conversation on this show many, many times about players, coming up from high school to college to the NFL and how the game just moves at a different speed. Same thing can be said for the coach.
Absolutely.
Some guys can coach students, right? And some guys can coach men. Some folks just aren't cut out for that. And Jim Harbaugh is one of them. Is one and the same. He had issues when he was at 49ers.
To be negative towards those guys that it hasn't worked out. It absolutely is a style of coaching. And it's no secret that Nick Saban and Urban Meyer have a similar style of coaching where they expect a lot from their players. And you should expect a lot out of NFL players. They're the best in the world at what they do. But I do agree, you speak to a student different than you speak to a grown man, someone like a Marvin Jones who's been in the NFL over 10 years. You style your conversation differently towards someone like that. So that's where I think the biggest drastic difference is. And we've seen it fail many times. Not a lot of people can do it.
Yeah, and it takes a good coach to do it in both leagues. Because I think Bud Grant did it in the CFL and brought it towards the NFL and did a good job. I know he didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but he did turn a Vikings team around when I was a kid growing up. I know about that, And Joe Gibbs, who basically went from being a NASCAR owner and being a NFL head coach and being successful on both sides. Except for the second time around, he kind of had Dan Snyder kind of ran him out of town. I think I lost her. Ashlyn, you still there? I guess she didn't like Joe Gibbs.
That's not right.
Come on, Chris.
Come on now.
Try getting her back. Try calling her back.
Yeah, I'll see what she's. She's actually driving.
Then.
Yeah.
So, but it's so true. But I'll tell you what. If I ever heard that, if Urban Meyer had ever done to my kid what he did to that kicker, there would have been someone else getting a kicking.
I know. Like I heard about that. My brother told me about that. I'm like, why?
You gonna try and call her back?
Yeah, I'll give her a call. You want me to try to call her back if she's not driving?
Your show, man.
Yeah, let me give her a buzz real quick. Call her back and we'll finish up with her. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Hey, she told me she was driving. I just don't.
Well, she didn't have an accident.
Yeah. We'll call her back, and probably it's in Florida. Probably the governor of Florida is probably controlling the cell phone too.
Leave DeSantis alone. Leave it out of it.
Yeah, leave the government out of this thing. Now she won't answer. She's like, I don't want to talk to that guy.
I don't like Joe Gibbs.
Text her back and just say we'll have her back on.
Yeah, we'll get her on in a couple weeks.
But Chris, the game's different.
Yeah.
Your call has been forwarded to an
I hope she's okay. I'll text her. If she calls back, we'll try to get her on at the end, but we'll figure it out. What a great interview with her. She was very, very knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She knows more stuff than I think you do.
Hey, I'm not a sideline reporter. The only thing I do on the sideline is.
Yeah, no, you're good at that.
You keep feeding me.
Who do you think you are, Ezekiel Elliott?
Hey, can I have hey, you guys want another beer, please? Hey, I could yell at Nicole. Nicole, you want something from the kitchen? Like.
Wow. Okay, this is going downhill quick.
Yes. Like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, no. My goodness.
Oh my God, you missed it. Oh my God, were you here for that one?
No, that was the night I was doing the report from the Iron
Oh my
opening
God.
night. You told me it was a real train wreck.
Oh, jeez, I think we're still recovering from that.
Because he said the guy was so melatonin or something, and he didn't.
There's a lot of
not very
things.
lively. He was like, whatever you do.
Loving selling the book.
Yeah. So what's you're selling his book. Coming on at 9:05, we have former Ravens, Jet, and Buccaneer tight end Daniel Wilcox joining us from he's down in Atlanta. We'll talk to him about his days in Baltimore and what do you think the Ravens are going to do with the 14th pick in the draft on Thursday night. They need to get a lot of things better for the Ravens to get much better. Plus, here's the other thing is we're not signing Lamar Jackson. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I know. They got to get that hammered down quick. Jackson says he wants to be here long term. He wants to win Super Bowls, but he's got to get contract signed, or we're going to be right back at square one, just like we are with the Orioles.
You're going to be
out of time.
Out of time. Hey, you did your show over the weekend there, George. I caught the end of it. How was that program you did on Saturday?
It was pretty good. Good.
Yeah, I caught it at the end. I was going to write like, "Hi, I'm a longtime listener, first time caller."
I can get my fans engaged in the show, which brings the show to a completely different level.
Yeah, I think I need to start doing that during the football season. When we get to college, I think I need to do like get the fans involved, and if they want to, he's on to get more involved with
folks.
People.
Love it. They love it. They love the interaction.
Yeah. All right, we're going to still switch gears here. We're going to go back to an international flavor here, because we're going to get to we're going to go down the deep heart of Texas. The Texans. They have the. I think they got the third pick in the NFL draft. They just got rid of Deshaun Watson for basically I don't know what did they give up to the Texans? Literally nothing.
I think they gave up a 5th round pick. I think
it was just a couple sodas and a hot dog.
And a bucket of footballs, it sounds
a bucket of popcorn.
Yeah, it sounds like the guy from the what happened to the Met guy a couple of years ago. They traded him to Milwaukee with a bucket of balls.
Well, look what happened to Deshaun Watson up in Seattle.
Yeah,
or whatever his name was that was up there in Seattle.
Yeah, what's the name? Yeah. So let's bring him in. I might butcher his last name. I might need some help here.
Rangel. Gustavo Rangel.
Gustavo Rangel.
Go ahead, George. Go ahead.
Hey, Gustavo. How are you?
How you doing, Chris? How you doing, George? How y'all doing, guys?
Thank you for coming on. I'm very terrible with names, and I'm doing the best I can every day, and I butcher them. And I should have like an outtake show, like for Christmas.
He goes to the bullpen.
Yeah, I have to relate to the right-hander up there. Yeah. No, I should do an outtake show one day for Christmas. Like how many times I butcher last names. I think that would be a great little tidbit.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good. Rangel.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. What in the world is the Texans going to do? They got Lovie Smith now, the head coach, and we didn't think Lovie Smith was going to coach in the NFL anytime soon after a terrible college career at Illinois. Who basically he thought he was running an NFL program in Illinois, and it didn't really work out real well.
Yeah, no, definitely. It kind of took everybody by surprise here because when David Culley didn't work out, it seemed that they were going in all types of directions, and at the end of the day, they ended up staying with Lovie Smith, and I think it's a good choice. I think it's going to work out for the Texans, and it's another opportunity for Lovie Smith to prove that time that he made it to the Super Bowl, that it wasn't a fluke, that he's able to take care of a team, to make a team a champion. And he did well. He did well as far as his defensive coordinating job last year. He did very well. It was the best part of the Houston Texans, and I think he's a player's coach, and Caserio believes in him.
Yeah, and I feel like ever since Bill O'Brien left the Texans, it seemed like you guys have been going down a spiral. I feel like you're trying to find a way to I guess you're in the NFC South, AFC South. You have the Colts. We don't call them the Colts here in Baltimore. My girlfriend can't say Colts because they're old school Baltimore. But you got the Jaguars, you got the Texans, and you guys, and the Titans. And it seems like every year, like they pick the Texans to be that team to go represent the South, and it seems like during the regular season, by the time week 4, week 5, everything starts going downhill.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy division, right? It really is. It's a crazy division, and I think that's why when you see all this draft capital that Casero has for this season, I mean, 7 picks in the first 108. Considering that last year we had 2 picks in the first 108 picks, so he's got a lot. Now I mean, I kind of see him as an architect, right? And he mentioned it during the press conference this week, talking about rebuilding, and he doesn't like to use that word. He says he's building a team, and I think there's a way to look at it, right? Because really everything that was left here from the Bill O'Brien era are ashes, and you really can't build anything with ashes, right? So I like his mentality in the sense that he's building. He did very well with the last class, 5 picks last year. All 5 of them did well. I think Davis Mills is going to surprise the NFL this year. People just don't give him the credit. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't give him the credit, even though he put up some nice stats comparable to any other rookie from last year's class. And I really think Davis Mills is going to be one of the biggest stories of the NFL next year.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere, Mills. I don't know what college, but he came out of nowhere, and you hear now he's the man down there in Texas, in Houston. It's like, okay, we'll see how he does. And I hear different stories on local, some national talk that they're looking for a backup veteran just in case if Mills is not ready. But I feel like if you had Mills, he started 6 or 7 games last year, right? So he should know what he needs to do and with the offense.
Yeah, and under very tough situations he started. You remember, I mean, he was thrown in there. He wasn't even supposed to play last year, really. But I mean, he was thrown in there, and I think he excelled under pressure. And again, his stats speak for themselves. He did very well. But there's just like this narrative against him in the national media that oh, well, he doesn't have this. Oh, well, he doesn't do that. Oh, he throws too many interceptions. But they don't see his virtues, and one of them is that he's a very hard worker. He stays in the film room. And then I don't know if you guys saw him in his last press conference. I mean, he looks physically very well put this year. I mean, last year he looked skinny, a little bit frail. In that press conference, you could see he put on some muscle. So he's been working in the gym, but nobody mentioned that. Nobody in the national media even said, hey, well, he looks good. At least give him that, that he's been working hard. So I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to work off of that.
Hey, is that Texas barbecue? That's probably what he's eating.
That's probably what it is, yeah. And the Mexican food down here, man. The Mexican food down here.
Yeah, you gotta eat the Texas barbecue, and you build some muscle, and you're good to go. But George and I and Steve and I are food people, so sometimes we're thinking about we may want to do a program just enough about food for one day. George is shaking his head, going, "Oh God." But let's bring in the chef. Here goes George. Go ahead.
So Gustavo, last year, the whole Deshaun Watson thing was just a whole debacle, and the way it went down. How much was that a distraction? That he wasn't there, but how much of a distraction does it become when a guy like that just, it just becomes a mess?
Yeah. You're not going to believe this, but I think Cully handled that very well. Casero handled that very well. And it really wasn't a distraction. I mean, this team last year, despite the record, obviously, the record was horrible. You had players that somehow came out of it, and played hard and played through that situation of your starting quarterback, being disgruntled. The team somehow found a way to block it out. And I guess you have to be there. I mean, us being there Sunday to Sunday, me and my my co-worker, Enrique Vasquez, who does the play-by-play, it got to a point by game 9 that, okay, there's Deshaun Watson's name. Okay, whatever. And, it on the field, I don't think it mattered that much. Obviously, you would like to have a talent like Deshaun Watson on the field, of course. But the fact that he wasn't there, it really, I don't think it was a part of the bad record we had. It was just, we had a new coach. The roster turned over almost more than 80%. So, those were just the things that were going to happen in a rebuilding of a team. But I don't think Deshaun had a lot to do with it. I think even Deshaun did well to kind of just stay out of the picture, and it wasn't as bad as maybe the national media made it out to be.
So who do you want to see the Texans pick up? With the third pick, what do you think they need? Do they need like a cornerback? They need someone on defense. Somebody I saw today, they think about the guy from Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati, Gardner. Do you think he might be a good fit for you guys down there? And because I feel like the Texans have a good secondary. They've been the last couple of years.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt to work on that secondary a little bit more. But I like defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. I think that guy, he's just so talented. He's so explosive. We need help in the edge rushing department. And man, I like him, and I really think that he should be there, and that's kind of like the logical pick that the Texans are probably going to make if everything stays within logic, right? But hey, Jacksonville is Jacksonville, and Jacksonville may get a little cute. Detroit Lions may get a little desperate, as far as their quarterback situation goes. They may do something a little crazy. They're known for that. So those first two picks are going to dictate, what's going to happen in the draft. But if everything stays logical, I would like to see them pick up Kayvon Thibodeau with the third pick, and I like the defensive end also, Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. I think you add those two guys to the pass rushing. We're going to have a pretty good defense. We had an okay defense last year, and if you're able to get those two guys in there and they come in there and they're impactful right away, it should be a very interesting Lovie Smith defense because he likes to rush with four. So those two guys would definitely come in very handy.
Yeah, I think it'd be great that Johnson guy from Florida State. He's very good. He spent his time in Georgia, and it's funny that he was with Georgia and then he transferred right to Tallahassee for 1 year. It's like that means that Georgia did have a good defense, and that's pretty interesting. You can have people transfer anywhere, and they still have a great defense.
Yeah, and I just think those two guys are so talented. But let's wait for Thursday. I mean, we're crossing our fingers that maybe Jacksonville gets a little cute and Detroit botches it like they're known to do, and then the draft gets really interesting. But it doesn't look like anybody's looking, to trade for the third pick. It seems that the Texans are going to probably stay there. But the 13th pick, that's a very good possibility for Caserio to either move up or just obtain more draft capital. That 13th pick is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Hey, George, I was thinking, what's the percentage that the Texans don't draft a quarterback in the first round? You never know. Like you said, you don't know what everybody's going to do. Is it going to go by Mel Kiper's plan, or is it going to be something totally different? And you see different players go in different places. Like, the Texans might go with Kenny Pickett. You never know. They do need a stable quarterback, but if you have Mills, who's good, why you want to waste a pick on Kenny Pickett? Spend on something you might need or trade back.
Or you go with the guy out of Notre Dame and Kyle Hamilton for defense.
Right.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
That guy right there.
Well,
that guy's good.
Some mock drafts have him dropping like to number 22 or dropping.
Really?
Yeah. So, he didn't have a very good 40. I don't know why that's such a big deal. I mean, that guy, he's so intelligent.
His body of work, and what you get in that guy is a guy that can cover the field. I mean, the one play that everyone talks about, that he came across the field and intercepted the ball.
Yeah,
at a critical juncture in the game. So,
but that was that Florida State game, right? He did that against Florida State. Came
all the way across the field.
Yeah, and picked it off. But that's good vision there. And it's it's fat. I don't believe in that combine stuff.
He's a student of the game, and that's what you want. You want a cerebral player You want a guy that can read offenses and go out there and give it his all. To me, that's. I think sometimes people get too much wrapped up in the analytics.
Yeah, and I mentioned Jermaine Johnson, but I mean, if Kyle is there at 13, man, you take him. Especially because he plays the type of football Lovie Smith loves to play, and to have that kid, I mean, that's a blue chip guy. That's a guy that you can build around. So if Kyle is there, man, you take him. You take him.
Exactly. So let's just talk about you guys, broadcasting down there in Texas. How's the the listenership for you guys? Are you guys because we had the guy from Carolina on. It was great to have different feel in Carolina. But you guys have been down there. How long have you guys been doing the games, and what's the feeling like?
Since the beginning of the franchise, Mr. McNair, may he rest in peace. He believed, and we have a big Hispanic community down here. So he believed that it was important to include that in the new franchise. And since day one, they started with the Spanish broadcasting. Enrique Vasquez, who does the play-by-play, he's been doing it since the beginning. And I started with the team as a field reporter. Now I'm the color analyst and on the broadcast, and they're so much fun. It's a privilege to do it. It's a privilege to do it, and like I said, it's been a tough road these last few years. We kind of been stuck in this 9-9 record and going to the playoffs and getting kicked out in the first round, and having this terrible debacle under Bill O'Brien. So it's been rough. Last year was very rough, to say the least. But we see the light at the end of the tunnel. After the rookies last year, they did so well. Those 5 rookies that Caserio picked in his class, and now I think Thursday is going to be kind of like the reset button. I think is when your computer freezes, what you do, you press the power button, you wait 12 seconds, and then you let it come back on. Then this time you make sure that you get a good a virus program, that you get a good computer, you insert more memory, you do whatever you got to do to make it work better. So I think that's what's going to happen Thursday. I think is that we're going to reset the button on this franchise.
Anything else, George? You look like you have.
I got to tell you, I love his Twitter account cover photo. That's pretty darn awesome. Hey, Gustavo, got a question for you, because like Chris was saying, he's doing a thing on Spanish radio broadcast this week. Give us a really great call that you would have on the air. Say a defenseman intercepted a football and is running to the end zone. Give us the color call that you would have.
Well, let's say we draft Kyle Hamilton. Let's say we get him.
All right, let's go.
All right. So it's the first game of the season. The other teams on the field. Let's say Trevor Lawrence is on the field with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's say, all right. Estamos aquí en el partido, aquí en el NRG Stadium, donde el equipo de los Texans están enfrentando a Jacksonville. Y Jacksonville tiene la pelota en primer down, primero y 10, desde la 20. Lanza pase Trevor Lawrence. Aguas que se le cruza Kyle Hamilton. Se le cruzó el novato y el de Notre Dame se va. Nadie lo va a alcanzar. Es touchdown. Los Texans se van arriba en el marcador y Kyle Hamilton, bienvenido mijo. Un abrazo para el novato que debuta con broche de oro.
Brilliant.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely awesome.
Well done.
Even though the play-by-play is more for Enrique Vasquez, I'm gonna get him to come on with you guys, and he does it way better than me in that aspect.
Gustavo, you guys have so much more on the American broadcasters and the way they call a game. To me, it's so much fun to hear it coming through in Spanish. It's just amazing.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's great to hear football in an international flavor, and it sounds great. It sounds like it sounds like you're right there, and you're like sitting next to me, going like, "All right, dude, cool." Like
it's energy, but that's what the game needs.
Yeah, that's what it needs.
When you're sitting at home and you're listening to the game on the radio, right?
Yeah.
You need that energy that brings you into the game, and that does it.
Because George, you and I, and you probably grew up, Gustavo, with the people who are, I grew up listening to Bob Murphy, and he probably did the same thing in Connecticut. People bring passion. Chris Schenkel bring passion, and I feel like these broadcasters today are like reading a cue card, going, "Here's the pitch, single." It's like, really, get into it. If somebody said a 3-run home run, get excited. You and I did arena football years ago, the one down in Fayetteville, and it was a winning touchdown between Baltimore Mariners and somebody told me I leaped in the air like Mike Albee, the bowler, like because I was so excited for the touchdown because I was doing.
Yes, you did. I was down on the field watching you up there dance around.
Yeah, I leaped in the air, and people who came to me after the broadcast going, "We loved your enthusiastic. You were like great. You made me feel like you were sitting next to me." And I'm like, really? I was like, that's cool. I was like, thanks. And that's what you need as a broadcaster to paint a picture, whatever you're doing.
And Gustavo did that.
Yeah, and he painted the picture and made me want to go watch that next year. And I'm looking at my phone. When did they play Baltimore? Because I really like to know. Gustavo, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll try to get you on before training camp, and we'll see how everything's going down there in beautiful Houston, Texas. I guess you're not going to root for the Gamblers, right? Forget that United States Football League, right?
Yeah, no, but thank you guys. Thank you guys for inviting me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully for us, it will be a real good draft this upcoming Thursday.
We hope so too.
Good luck.
We'll pray for you. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I see you. That is just some beautiful. Good job, George. You're bringing out the A game today.
Hey.
All right, I actually was watching watched some of that USA Football League.
Oh, it's not bad, but they're playing in one. Yeah, they're playing in one.
It's kind of like, it's like a step below the NFL, but it's a step above the Arena League.
Yeah, they got to get themselves going. So speaking of that, George, I know. Are you going to stick around for Dan Wilcox, or you want to roll out?
I got to roll, man.
Okay, you got the dog problem.
I gotta go catch up and make up some time with the pup that's just come home. So
okay, cool. All right, man. We'll see you next Tuesday. All right.
Absolutely, sir. Take it easy.
All right, man.
Bye, Steve.
Hey, George.
Bye.
Yep. All right. So George is rolling out. We'll put him there. Let's bring in former Baltimore Raven, who spent some time in New York with the Jets. Went to Tampa Bay to be with the Buccaneers. Won a Super Bowl. Came to Baltimore to try to help Joe Flacco out, and did a pretty decent job here in Baltimore. So let's bring in Daniel Wilcox. Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
Doing great, Chris. How are you, buddy?
Hey, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for responding to my Facebook message. Because when I see people on Facebook, I don't know if it's the real people or like one of those people put out like a fake photograph of somebody and and they want money or book signing or something. Something weird.
All right, nowadays it's a bunch of make believe accounts out there nowadays.
Exactly. But thanks for coming on. Talk about your time in the NFL. You spent your time in New York for a couple of years, and then you went off to Tampa Bay, and you won a Super Bowl with Chucky.
Drafted free agent.
Yeah.
In April 2001.
Right. That's my colleague just said. But what was it like playing with Chucky? With John Gruden. Was he pretty feisty at practice?
Yeah. John is he's a very interesting guy. I mean, what you see on TV is he's made for television and stuff like that. When I was in Tampa, I wasn't at my best, so my experience with John wasn't very good. A lot of guys, probably came out of Tampa Bay feeling like, John was probably one of the best coaches to them. But for me, it was a pretty horrible experience, coming from New York with Herman Edwards. And he was a super, super great coach, nice guy, great personality. He played the game. And then you get to Tampa, you got a coach that's never played the game before. He loved the old veteran guys, the savvy vet. I was a young 2-year guy in the league, hadn't really figured it out yet. And he just rode me like every freaking day, always had something slick to say, something snide to say, some snide remark, or, something that wasn't appealing, from one man to another man,
Right.
So I left out of Tampa, not a John Gruden fan at all. Was hoping that I got a to play them at some point in my life, in my career. And I got a chance to in Baltimore. So it was a pretty sweet win for me. Got a chance to score a touchdown on them. I think I caught like 4, and probably had about 80, 90 yards of receiving that game. So, it was like my outbreak season, I think, in Baltimore. With the Ravens. So, but I'm not a John Gruden fan. I haven't been a John Gruden fan.
Yeah, I know. It seems like, what happened last year, all the, what he did with that email, I think that was just kind of wrong and, all that stuff. So, anyway, let's move on. You come to Baltimore after spending time in the Europe, NFL. So what's it playing in Europe? Because it's pretty cool that they're going to be playing, the Ravens might be going to Germany or someplace to play an overseas football game this year. You never know. I think he's frozen.
You took my question.
I did? I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm trying to nudge you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say something.
Well, you can say it back. I don't know what's going on. Did he freeze? I think the weather's having problems with things tonight.
Well, it's not doing anything outside.
Well, a lot of places have been raining and storming, and
they ain't been doing shit all day.
I know. All right, let me see if I can bring him back in. We'll get him back on in a minute here, folks. So yeah. So I stole Steve's question. It says Steve will go ask that same question when he comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's what I'm here for.
So we're waiting for Daniel Wilcox to join us back on the program, I guess, because of the hopefully we'll see. Sometimes the internet doesn't work, but I am Chris Heidel. Thanks for joining us here tonight here on our program. Coming up at 9:25, we got former Philadelphia Phillies pitcher PatCombs should be joining us. I did find a little tidbit from him. This is he pitched against the New York Mets back in early 1990s, and this guy named Darryl Strawberry hit a home run. But we'll bring that back up in a minute. Here's Daniel. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Chris. I don't know what happened just now.
It's part of the weather. It's part of the weather. It's one of those things with the internet. When it's raining in one area, and you got it's technology. But anyway, I stole my buddy's question. He wants to ask that question about the NFL Europe. So go ask that question. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hey, Daniel. Nice to meet you. It's talk about the thing when you play over there in Europe, and then you come back over to the U.S. and you sign with the Ravens. Talk about the difference of how the European league is played, because I know they refer to European football over there in a different term as we use it over here, whereas Europeans call football their soccer, which we call it. So what was it like in the difference between the two of them?
My experience in Germany was phenomenal. It was my first time playing, in another country, and I've never experienced, fans having whistles in the stands before, right? So if you go to soccer games, they blow whistles, and it's okay. It's legal. So when we went over there to play in the NFL, every fan in the stand seemed like they had a whistle. It was the loudest experience I've ever experienced playing football, right? But you also couldn't tell when the referee blew the whistle to start the play or stop the play. So since everybody is blowing those whistles, it just made it extremely hard. But it took it back to you being a kid and your coach is telling you to play to the whistle, right? You continue to play the play until the whistle blows and stuff. So you had to kind of go back to those park ball days and play all the way through the play, not knowing whether or not they blew the whistle to stop the play or not. But it was extremely loud. It was extremely fun. That was my I think my real growth that happened for me in the NFL. I got a chance to start every single game. I got a chance to go through a whole preseason training camp and really compete for a job since I was coming out. My first couple of years, it was like special teams. But when I got to Germany, it gave me an opportunity to really compete at the tight end position and show people that I can play the game that I've played my entire life. So it was kind of like my coming out party. I did my first billboard over there. I did my first commercial over there. I did my first autograph signings over there. My first real autograph signing where people wanted to come and get my autograph.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it was kind of my welcome to the NFL. When I got back from Dusseldorf, Germany, playing with the Rhine Fire, I was special teams captain over there for the first time, and I was one of the team captains as well. So when I got back to Baltimore, I was ready to go. I felt like a seasoned vet for the first time in my career. My first 2 years was like a really bumpy ride up and down the active roster, practice squad, active roster, practice squad, active roster, back and forth. And then I go over to Germany. I get a chance to start 10 games, play in 3 preseason games. And then I come back, sign with the Ravens a week later. And then I go right back into training camp and play another preseason.
I froze again.
Probably.
It's just like I was saying, it must be something with the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not having any internet problems whatsoever. So unless.
Well, we have an old house here, so that's probably why. So
that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah. So we'll try to get Daniel on one more time here before we let him go because the internet's having issues here tonight. So we'll see. We could hopefully he'll bring himself back on here. So let's talk about we were talking about PatCombs joining us at 9:25. Hopefully he'll join us again at 9:25. So we'll see here. Hopefully, I think he's just frozen. I hope he knows he's frozen. So let's see. I think he'll log back on. So we'll get him on one more time, and then we'll finish up with him, and we'll move on to we'll ask him about Baltimore, and we'll talk about what he thinks the Ravens need to do on Thursday night. And then we'll go from there. So so that's what's coming up here in a few minutes. We got our good friend TylerCrowder from Kicking with Crowder, he's down in Atlanta, home of the Atlanta Braves, the world champs, who basically right now are looking up at the standings with the New York Mets in first place.
Only 3 weeks into the season.
I know. I just love it.
I know you love it, but it's like me saying the Dallas Cowboys are 4-0 in the first 4 weeks, and then they don't make the playoffs. So don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, here's Daniel. Let's. Hey Daniel, I don't know what's going on with the weather, so let's real quick talk about your time in Baltimore. You were saying you came to Baltimore after your time in Europe. What was it like playing in this beautiful city of Baltimore, the charm city? These fans are rabid. They love their Ravens to the point that they don't even care about the Orioles if they're playing during the season.
You said what was it like playing with the Ravens?
Yeah.
Oh, playing with the Ravens was probably the best experience of my whole NFL career. I mean, I got a chance to really blossom as a player. And then the city of Baltimore welcomed me with open arms. It made me feel like I was back home here in Atlanta, so I felt like, in every part of a player's life, you become the guy, right? So in park ball, I became the guy my last couple of years in park ball. When I got to middle school, I was the guy instantly. When I got to high school, I was the guy instantly. I still had to play behind guys, or I had to play with guys that was probably better than me because they were seniors and juniors, but I started as a true freshman. So I was the guy as soon as I came in, so 4 years of high school, you become the man. Then you turn around and go to college and you got to start over from scratch. Mm-hmm. Well, I went to JUCO. Since I went to the junior college route, I got a chance to compete for a starting job my rookie year, my freshman year, and I started 2 years of JUCO ball. I was the guy ASAP, like right away. Then I got to Appalachian State, same exact thing. I came in as a true junior instead of a freshman, so I was the man for the next 2 years at App State. Then I left there and went to the Jets, and I started from ground zero. But when I got to the city of Baltimore, I truly feel like that was the moment for me to take my career like to that next level, man. I just ascended so fastly. Ray Lewis welcomed me. I remember the first training camp in Baltimore, and Ray Lewis coming up to me and said, "Hey, man, you number 44?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm number 44." And then I'm like, "Oh my God, Ray Lewis talking to me!" Like it tripped me out. Yeah. I mean, I play for the Jets, and Curtis Martin kind of took me underneath his arm. He's a Hall of Famer now. Then I get to Tampa Bay, and Derek Brooks kind of take me underneath his arm. He's a Hall of Famer now. Shelton Quarles too, as well. He's I want to say Shelton Quarles is almost like a GM or something in Tampa now. Like he's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I leave there. I remember Warren Sapp just being a straight asshole to me in Tampa, right? So when I get to Baltimore, all of a sudden the guy come up to me and say, "Hey man, I like your game." And that was all I needed for me, Chris. Like that just
compliment from the leader of the defense there.
Yeah. You're like, "Thank you, sir. I appreciate it." Let me buy you
Yeah, he's Mr. Baltimore as far as I'm concerned. Like, I mean, I feel like he represented what Baltimore was really about. And I loved it. I loved playing in the city of Baltimore. The fans embraced me. I did more stuff in the community than probably anybody else while I was there. Thanks to the players, they always had my back. Every event I did, they showed up in full colors and represented the Ravens very, very well, man. So I felt extremely blessed. I really did, man. And just playing City of Baltimore, experiencing the fanfare there and how it was almost like a movie. It's the closest thing I can kind of relate Baltimore to being like a real 100%, movie, first class movie. Just the Ray Lewis experience, the Ed Reed experience, the Terrell Suggs experience. My last year, Flacco came in. We go to AFC Championship. I felt like we should have won 2 Super Bowls when I was there, but we fell short twice. Steve McNair being my quarterback. Oh my God! I mean, I can go on and on. Playing with Willis McGahee, Jamal Lewis. I'm from Atlanta. Jamal's from Atlanta, so I got a chance in college to come back and see him play his senior year of high school, and I was like, oh my God, this kid is about to be the next best thing since sliced bread, and he go on to be a first round pick. He goes on to be a first round pick out of Tennessee. Then I get a chance to play with him in Baltimore. So I mean, it was a phenomenal experience for me.
Would you have to say that your probably your most highlight pinnacle career was that one-handed catch you made against Philadelphia Eagles in the 2008 season up there, and you made that one-handed touchdown grab?
Yeah, that was Flacco's. I think was that Flacco's first touchdown pass, if I remember correctly. I think that was the catch.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was the catch. I think that was the first touchdown pass that he had thrown. He had scored already. He ran a touchdown in himself, and he's handed the ball off for touchdowns, but he hadn't threw a touchdown.
I don't know if it is. Yeah, there's one. That's one catch there from you, and then here's another one. This is all home videos.
Yeah. I remember that first catch. I think that was against the.
Yeah, that's the one you did against John Gruden right there.
That's the Tampa Bay game. Yeah, that's the Tampa Bay game.
I feel like watching home videos with you. You're sitting there going like, "Hey, I remember that play." Like you're at your parents' house. Remember that kid?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that first catch was against the Chargers, man. I remember that. It was in the flats, and I think I ran a delayed flat route. I kind of chipped the defensive end, and then I leaked out slowly to the flat and to the flats, and Flacco hit me really quick. The guy tried to hit me low and take my legs out. I bounced off him and just ran in the end zone. So it was a cool play.
Well, you've been doing some little broadcasting here. You were at Georgia State. What do you think about the draft coming up for Baltimore on Thursday? What if you're in the GM like Eric Acosta? What are you going to look for? What are you going to go get? Do you need stuff? Do you need to trade down? Do you trade up? Do you trying to get stuff from Lamar Jackson? Tell him please stay. We need you here. What do you want to see on Thursday night?
It's going to be an interesting draft. Like last season was such a hard season for the Ravens with all the injuries they had. It's kind of really hard to access what you really truly need when you lose 40, 50 guys in one season. Like it's so weird, man. So you think you need cornerbacks, you think you need safeties, but you really got cornerbacks and safeties. They was just hurt all year, right? You think you need a D lineman. Know that Calais Campbell, out of the way. He retired, so you got to replace a guy like him. And he's not a guy that you replace with one guy. You got to replace him with 2 guys. So he's one of those type guys. You need an edge rusher. You got to get somebody to get to that passer even faster to kind of complement the guys that you already have. And you hope your guys come back healthy. You feel like you need O-linemen, like really, really bad to protect Lamar. I think that was the biggest difference from last year for me and the year prior. You had Zeus, Lil Zeus, and you had Stanley out there, and then you had the interior guys with Yonder and all those guys, and Lamar was back there just acting a freaking fool on everybody. I think that was the biggest difference. Having your entire offensive line on injured reserve and guys playing out of position on that line. I feel like you got to go and try to stack that offensive line a little bit to try to make sure that you're in a much better position to protect your quarterback if that situation happens again. And I strongly believe this, Chris. I feel like every quarterback in the NFL can pick you apart, just drop dimes on you. I don't care what the game is, what the situation is, if you protect them and you give them all day, right? If you don't protect them and give them all day, then that's what separates the men from the babies. Lamar Jackson basically carried that team for those first 8 or 9 games where they won those 8 games. And I literally thought we were still going to make it to the playoffs up until about week 10 or 12, So, I mean, it became a really weird situation towards the end where you just started losing, but you was playing with your 4th and 5th string guys, and you was playing with guys that had never even been a Baltimore Raven before. You just picked them up off the bench, off the streets.
Practice squad, yeah.
Yeah, you picking guys up off the street. All your running backs are out. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like that never happened my 9 seasons. where we lost every single running back that we had on our roster. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, just to think that you had to go through that, and then you turn around and lose your starting quarterback on top of that. So it's going to be a hard draft, man. I think it's going to be a really hard situation for Eric because he first of all, he has to decipher what he has on staff and on roster, right? And then he got to figure out who he's going to sign, who he's going to keep. And then you got to get rid of some key components that you've always had in Baltimore, and you got to try to fill those shoes, man. And it's like having to replace a Ray Lewis. You still feeling that right now to this day, like there's no other linebacker that came in that could fill Ray Lewis's shoes, so you need some key component guys to really kind of take the Ravens back to who they really are and who they really were. Before this season, Chris, I was saying that the Ravens dynamics of the program has started to change because it's always been a defensive program. All of a sudden Lamar Jackson come in town and now it's starting to really kind of feel like an offensive team. And that's kind of weird for Baltimore. Baltimore is not that team that the offense is better than the defense, right. But they got into some games where if they didn't have an offense, they wouldn't have won.
I do have to ask you a question. A fan just emailed me a question asking, will you ever go back to coaching? Will you ever go back to coaching, or are you done coaching, or you still have that bug?
Well, that's a great question. Tell the fan I said thank you for asking it. But it's one of those situations where I really do honestly love football. I've been in football since I was 5 years old. I would love to go coach and love to be back into coaching in the right situation. But the politics of the game, you see the lawsuit that's going on in the NFL right now with the Brian Flores situation. That has been consistent for me since I've retired in Baltimore. On a high school level, on a college level, on Division I, the JUCO level, it doesn't matter what level I've been on. I think you have certain guys that have a certain presence about them, like your Deion Sanders type presence. And I'm not putting myself in Deion's shoes because Deion is freaking phenomenal. Right. Even being in the locker room with Deion, those 2 seasons with him I was in awe because I grew up watching Deion myself, right? And I'm from Atlanta, so. Right. But when you get those certain guys, coaches are intimidated, and they do things. They treat you a certain way, man, that's not really, appealing to a guy that's been through what we've been through, so they'll treat a guy that has played the game for 30 years like somebody that's never played the game and had never coached before. They'll treat you like you just this ordinary guy off the street, and then they want you to start at the GA position and then work your way up and earn every single thing like you haven't earned anything already, so they don't give you any credit for playing the game for 30 years. And I think that's just, I think it's crappy. I really do. I think it's a crappy situation, so although I would love to jump back into coaching, I don't think I would do it unless the situation is perfect. The situation is right. And they don't treat me like I'm some, ordinary kid that just graduated from college and I'm begging to try to be a coach. It's weird.
Right. Exactly.
Did you get all that, Chris?
Yeah, we got some of that. We had a little internet hiccup, but it's okay. We got it. But thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate to get to know you, and don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you back in the program before training camp and see what you think about what the Ravens need to do and after the draft and all that stuff.
No doubt, Chris. Whenever you need me, man, you know what to do. Just pick up the phone.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Daniel.
You're welcome, guys. Y'all be safe. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's former Ravens tight end Daniel Wilcox joining us here on the program. He did play some time in New York and Tampa. So let's bring in TylerCrowder and bring in PatCombs at the same time because let's wrap up the show here because we're having some issues with the internet here. So let's bring both of them in. So we'll do a little roundtable discussion. So Tyler's a big Braves fan. We could tell that because he's wearing his Atlanta Braves hat. And Pat played in the Major League Baseball against Atlanta back in the early 90s. So Pat, thanks for joining us. And Tyler, thanks for joining us as well. Let's start off with Pat. Pat, I was just reading about your bio last night. You spent some time down in Baylor. Seems like Baylor is that quiet place for pitchers because the last couple of people we had on our program went to Baylor and went to the major leagues. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome, Chris. Well, yeah. No, Baylor's a great place, and I still am involved with the school. I work on the broadcasting side with Baylor baseball and have done that for almost 10 years now. And so it's been a lot of fun. But, yeah, really close to the program. And you're right. They've produced a lot of great players over the years, and either catchers or or pitchers. Lately, it's been catchers, and Tyler, you may you know about Shea Langoliers, who unfortunately got traded to the A's, but I think he's on a fast track to become a Brave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like
he got traded in that Matt Olson deal, I believe, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So Pat, playing in the Phillies organization, what was it like playing in the Phillies organization back in the early '90s? Because the Phillies weren't, they're turning the corner. Yeah, they're a couple of years away from the NLCS, and then they finally won it in 2008. What was it like? You were part of. You had a great season. They called it the golden season. That you went from like A-ball all the way up to major leagues, and you don't see that a lot in this day and age in baseball, because if you're not a high draft pick, you don't take a fast track right to the major leagues anymore. You do spend maybe 1 or 2 stops in the minors, and then you're up next year. But you went from A-ball from Clearwater all the way up to Philadelphia.
Yeah, Chris, it was really kind of right time, right place situation. I came out of Baylor in '88, had played on the Olympic team that summer. And so it was my first professional season. Started in Clearwater, spent a few weeks there, got called with the AA in Reading, and spent a few months in Reading. And then the pitching coordinator at that time, George Culver, came in and just said, "Hey, we're going to take you up to AAA at Scranton Wilkes-Barre and kind of get an idea of where to start you for next year." And I asked him, I said, "Well, if I pitch well in AAA, will I get a call to the big leagues?" He said, "No, not this year. They're really just trying to get a bearing on where you're going to start in the 89-90 season." And so went up to AAA and threw a 1-hitter, a 3-hitter, and another shutout behind that. And I think that just caught the Phillies' attention. They called me up to the big leagues in September that year. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. I guess they still talk about, being my first professional year, touching every minor league stop and making it to the big leagues in that first year. I think I was the first player to do that. But, yeah, right place, right time, right team is the way I say it. And I had some success early on, and thankfully had great coaches at Baylor that got me ready for it.
Hey, Tyler, you have anything for Pat?
Not much, man. I mean, on the coaching side of things, so, do you enjoy more coaching? Do you enjoy more scouting? I mean, what do you like most about, just coaching the game of baseball?
Yeah, Tyler, I coach in the summer league, and it's high level select ball with a group called the Dallas Patriots, and really just love being a part of the game with that level. So mainly 16, 17-year-olds. And if the phone ever rang for me to do something beyond that, I would consider it, but I've got a lot of business interests and own a wealth management firm. My son and I run that called Combs Capital Partners, and then run a couple of funds in the digital asset space. Also do some consulting work. So besides the broadcasting stuff. So I guess you could say I'm a jack of all trades. I don't know if I've mastered any of them yet, but do a lot of different things in business. But I do love the coaching side of it, and it does keep me involved in the game as well as the broadcasting part with ESPN. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. And I'm from Columbus, Georgia area, rich baseball. Frank Thomas, Edwin Jackson, played for the Dodgers, a lot of teams. So Columbus area has had a lot of good athletes come out of this area, baseball.
Yeah, I love Frank. Played with Frank in '87 on the USA team, and really thought he'd play with us on the Olympic year. I couldn't believe when they cut him. That was crazy.
Yeah, he was, just a stud. He's such a big guy, and just such a great, such a great swing. So I love Frank Thomas.
Yeah, great human being too, and he was a dude, man. That's for sure. But yeah, a lot of great guys on that USA team that went on to play in the big leagues, and we still stay in touch periodically. But yeah, that was a fun time. But you're right. Yeah, Columbus, Georgia, it's put out some great athletes over the years.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Tyler, I got a question for you. What was the atmosphere like there in Atlanta when you guys finally won a World Series?
Oh, man. Well, just the fact that they're able to, just the fact that they were able to win the World Series, be in that position, Alex Anopoulos made those 4 or 5 great moves at the deadline that a lot of people, thought, hey, this could maybe win us a series or two, but can this win us the World Series? I don't think many people thought that when the trades were initially made, but, in baseball, it always seems like, just the hottest team wins. A lot of the times the Nationals a few years ago won, that came out of nowhere. The Braves, obviously last year, but just having that core that they already had together, and then you just bring in a couple guys, and they all just gelled, and the right moves were made. And you got to give credit to the front office. I would have liked to see Freddie Freeman retire as a Atlanta Brave, as most people would have, but at the end of the day, that wasn't able to be worked out. But now we have Matt Olson, who I believe is a top 5 first baseman in Major League Baseball. So I think the Atlanta Braves are at least set for the next 5 years or so, and we can go from there. But I'd like to get another championship. You won one in '95 and did not win one for a long time. I'd like for the Braves to at least win one more. Don't just win one. You got to at least win more than one. Those Atlanta Braves team in the early '90s, it's a shame they didn't win more than one World Series.
Exactly, I agree with it. You had Mannix and Glavine and Smoltz, and and Danny Nagel was one of the 5th guy in the roster. And then you had McMichael was in the bullpen, and
Mark Wohlers. They had it all.
They had
it all. Marquise in the outfield. They had Marquise Grissom, David Justice. They had some young guys, and they were. That's when I first. I'm young. I'm talking about. I'm born in '89, so I'm just coming up. These guys are who I watched coming up. Young Chipper Jones, Keith Lockhart, Walt Weiss,
Lopez.
That's who I came up on.
Tyler Pat probably had to face somebody like Marquise Grissom.
Oh man, too many times. That's what I say. Chipper as well. Those guys were they were just a tough lineup to pitch against, and then you always knew going in there, you could only allow maybe 1 or 2 runs with that pitching staff. It was just that immense pressure to pitch well against the Braves, because you knew that your team wasn't probably going to score a whole lot against them. So that was an amazing run. That to me, it really was kind of a dynastic team. It's just you're right, Tyler. Unfortunate they didn't win more than one World Series, which again tells you how hard it is to win a World Series. When you think about all that talent, it's just so incredibly difficult in baseball to play that well for an entire year. And like you said, get hot at the right time, at playoff time, because that's usually what happens. You may see a team that dominates during the season, but that lineup can go cold at any time during the playoffs, and then you're knocked out. So it really is. It's a really crazy game like that.
And the Phillies won in '08, of course, and then they got there in '09 against the Yankees. Then you look at a team like the Rangers, get their back-to-back years. They're this close, just can't do it. They never get back again. You look at teams that, they get real close. They're just not able to knock down that door, and you never get back. It's just it's crazy. The Royals got there that one year and won it. Yeah. There's teams that you look over the years. And you're just like, man, I can't believe they won a World Series, or I can't believe they even got to a World Series. The Rockies in 2007, they got to a World Series. Come on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what you love about the game, though, because it's so unpredictable in that way. You can have a team that makes this just magical run, and then they never sniff the playoffs again, with that particular group. So yeah, it really is. There's a lot of things have to come together. But, the one thing I've learned in baseball, because it is a game of repetition, but it's also, when you think about the character and makeup of those teams, it really comes down to the culture, and I think that's what made Atlanta in the early '90s so great, was that culture that Bobby Cox developed. Mm-hmm. Those guys bought into it. When Maddox came over, man, he was just all in on being a team guy and being a part of that Braves culture back then. And so, I look at the teams that consistently win, and you look at the leadership and what those coaches bring. It's like playing for Madden or playing for Joe Torre. It's just that they're always going to be competitive, because of the way they build that culture around the team and the clubhouse, and the kind of guys that they allow in versus the guys that they keep out. And so it really is cool to kind of dissect some of that and figure out what makes these teams, consistently good over the years.
And it seems like Brian Snedeker kind of lets the clubhouse kind of police things itself. Kind of lets the clubhouse take care of those types of things, and these are grown men. They're going in, they're doing a job, and I like that. Hey, these guys are grown, they know what they're doing. Let them do their thing. I love that Brian Snedeker kind of lets those guys just be themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, Pat, I do have to ask you a question about a pitch sequence. I was watching an old video last night. I did some research on people who come on our show and all that stuff. I found a highlight, and this is an old one from 1990. You faced Darryl Strawberry at Shea Stadium, and you pitched against him and you had a pitching sequence. You gave up a home run. I want to ask you, what was the mindset going into against a Darryl Strawberry to trying to get him off balance? Before that, he was 0 for 2 in the game, and then you pitched against him in his third at bat. And I cut the video down a little bit. Let me play it real quick. If you could probably, okay. Here's the sequence. Yeah, he just fouled it off. Let me take the name down here so people will see old Darryl Strawberry there. So, what's your mindset as a pitcher right here against a power hitter? What do you try to do to try to get him out? In this situation.
Yeah. Well, we've been successful with the sliders away and then running that fastball, that two-seamer in on his hands. And so my mindset was, you stick with that sequence until he makes an adjustment and shows you that it's not going to work. And unfortunately, on this at bat, you can see the slider away just missed.
Okay.
And then I came back with I think in this sequence, there was a breaking ball in there. So I missed with 2 of the breaking balls. And
okay.
I want to say that the first pitch was a fastball he fouled off. So we went fastball, slider, curveball. Yeah, that's the curveball that stayed up in the zone.
Okay.
Again, just missed with 2 breaking pitches. Well, now he's probably sitting fastball.
Okay.
But my mindset there was we've been successful going in and not letting him get his hands extended. So you can see Dutch kind of sitting up outside. I threw it up and in, and he just caught up with it.
Jeez.
And, yeah, he ran into one there. So,
yeah, it was a little higher up in his power alley, and I'm like looking at it last night, going, "Wow, he hit it like above his eyeballs, pretty much." And it was like,
yeah,
it's like that's the power, Steve, of what Darryl Strawberry was before all that situations he went through. He could hit anything in different places. He hit the lights up in Montreal.
That's the story you keep telling me about.
That home run is probably still up there, in Olympic Stadium, because that's how powerful. But with you being the pitcher, you had to go through a sequence knowing that this guy could actually do a lot of damage, and that was just a solo home run. Luckily, it wasn't like a 3-run grand slam or a 3-run home run. You're down 7-0. You just give up a solo home run. You're like, okay, that's okay. I don't have to worry about that. It was not.
I can live with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think back too with Darryl Strawberry, his power was down and in, and so we always tried to stay away from that pitch down over the middle or down and in. And you saw that fastball up and in, and he just pulled his hands in and caught up to it, hit the barrel, and sometimes that stuff happens. You miss a couple of breaking balls like that, and good big league hitters are sitting on that dead red fastball, and if they get their hands out, it's game over. But yeah, the thing that I thought about though, Chris, because you showed that clip. On Twitter today. So, I occasionally look through Twitter. I see that clip and you're introducing, hey, you're going to bring me on for the show. And so 30 years ago, I was thinking about that scenario that I was going to be on your show and have to explain that home run.
Hey, then, I feel like who's that? Like Johnny Carson now, like
all the Twitter world, hey, let's go watch Pat. He just gave up a home run to Darryl Strawberry. So I appreciate that, guys. I really appreciate that.
I was just trying to find.
Hey, Pat, this will make you feel better. I was 1. When that
I just want to go through. I'm trying to do with the mindset of a pitcher, because a lot of people don't see that. They just see like their great hitter hit a home run off of him, and you're all mad, and you're like, and there's another video you hit Dwight Gooden, and and there was a huge brawl and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't want to show that.
And this is awesome. This is awesome because I thought I was coming on to talk draft stuff. I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player my whole life, Pat. So I played ball. Actually, I had Tommy John surgery when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Young, threw a lot of curveballs, and just had Tommy John surgery. So just kind of switched to football. After that, and just kind of stopped playing baseball. But baseball was like the first true love, like thought I was like Chipper Jones, and playing Columbus, it's very competitive. My senior class at Columbus High School, coached by Bobby Howard, where Frank Thomas went, they played for a state championship every single year. 04, 05, 06, 07. You're talking about 4 straight years in a state championship, 1, 2, lost 2. It's really good baseball around here.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it really is. I had a chance to coach my sons, and they're not much younger than you. So I've got one. My youngest, Casey, is playing professionally now, and was drafted by the Marlins in 18. and
cool.
he'll play for an independent team in Florence, Kentucky this summer. But
Awesome.
yeah, so look, I see guys, you know, I think for me now out of the game as a player, just the love I have for it, the passion I have for it, what baseball gave me, way beyond just the memories of playing it. And maybe Tyler, you'll agree with this, but you know, just the life skills, the things I learned that have carried with me all the way through my life now, and then be able to give back to the game. I just feel like there's an obligation there for what the game gave to me that I want to pour into young men and help them learn the same life skills and character and the things I learned, you know, through great coaching and just being around the game.
Yes, sir. And I think kids should play it all, man. I think kids should play football, kids should play baseball, kids should play basketball, should play it all. You know, there's no need in just focusing on one sport. Play it all, figure it out. And, you know, at the end of the day, the sport you're supposed to play, like Trayvon Walker was a basketball player, but he's 6'5". You know, he's a 6'5" power forward center in high school. He's not going to do that in high school. College, guess what? He goes to Georgia. Now he's projected as could be the number one overall pick. Guy won two state championships in basketball, looking like he may play college basketball. He go plays college football. 4 or 5-star guy turns into maybe, you know, top 5 pick. So play it all, guys. Just tell your kids, play it all.
I'm with you, Tyler. Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, let me wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. This was fun. We should do this another time down the road. You know, a little more talk with Pat, and you know, hopefully I don't bring up a highlight of a home run, maybe a good, maybe a good sequence, maybe a, you know, one of your one hitters or something like that. You know,
on a couple of strikeouts. We'll talk through that one next time.
Exactly. Well, Pat, thanks so much for coming on. Tyler, thanks for
coming
on.
Nice to meet you, Pat.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right, see you.
Have a good one, guys.
See you. All right, that's our good friend TylerCrowder, and there's PatCombs used to play for the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. Before we go, because we have to get going here, we're over a time limit. It was just great listening to old-fashioned baseball. You know?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I didn't want to put him on the spot, but I thought it was great to hear. You know, because people don't talk about the mindset of a pitcher. You know, what do they go through trying to get that power hitter out? You know, what's the sequence?
What goes through their mind? When they know they got somebody who's a power squirrel.
Like you and I can talk about it all the time. Like, oh, we could throw a slider here, or we had a cat involved here.
We got our mascot on the show here.
Yeah. So what's that? Mama, her name is Raven. She's the engineer. Anyway, so we want to say before we go, a happy birthday to Carol Winnett today. She is 89 years old, and we're going to put this on before we go. Did you know she had something to do with Neil Diamond?
No, but I could only figure you would be the one to find that out.
A little clip from Neil Diamond from 1986. Hello again. So here, hold on.
That's why I'm glad we had this time together, just to have a laugh and sing a song.
Seems we just get started, and before you know it.
Yes, that was Carol. Today's her birthday. She's 89 years old. So that's really cool. So, folks, we'll see you all next Tuesday. I hope you enjoy our program. Thanks for everybody from joining us, from Daniel Wilcox and PatCombs for joining us, and TylerCrowder, and everybody from Spanish Radio. We had Antonio, from Carolina, and the guy from Texans on there as well. And we hope Ashlyn's okay. I'll text her to see if she's all right, because she didn't like the Joe Giz question. Sorry, Commanders, or AK Redskins. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday night here on the program.
Washington football team.
Yeah, the Washington football team. They should have just kept it that name.
That'd been funny.
Yeah. So
Super Bowl champions, Washington football team.
So in the meantime, we'll just say goodbye with this another. We do this sports history stuff, and today in music, there's a guy named George Jones who wrote some strings of country songs. He died on this day in 1981. He died age 81 on April 26, 2013. So we're going to play that last clip, and we'll see you all next week here on the program.
Adieu.
Adieu.
She told me
watched the years pass slowly by, and she still prayed on his mind. He kept her pictures on his wall. I saw him go half crazy